Operators are the special symbols that perform operations on the variables. An operator operates one or more operands. That is, operands can be variables holding values, and operators are the uh, symbols which is used to perform some operations. Python has few operators as shown here: arithmetic, assignment, comparison, logical, bitwise, membership, and identity operators. So first one, arithmetic. Arithmetic in sense that it performs the basic mathematical operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So look on to the given example. First operator is addition operator. It uses plus symbol. It adds two operands. So look on to the given example. Number 1 is holding the value 30 and number 2 is holding the value 10. So when we add the both variables, number 1 and number 2, we will be getting the output as 40. Ignore the output given here, it is wrong. So when we add two strings, suppose now string 1 is hello and string 2 is Bangalore, it performs concatenation operation in Python. So by adding them, we will be getting hello Bangalore. So the next operator is subtraction. It uses the minus symbol. It will subtract the value from one another. So number 1 is holding 30, number 2 is holding 10. When we give number 1 minus number 2, it will give the output as 20. Multiplication operator, it multiplies and gives the product value to us. So by multiplying number 1 and number 2, we get the product value as 300. And while multiplying the string, we have string 1 as India and string into 3. So by multiplying the string 1 3 times, the output is printed 3 times: India, India, and India. So divide is using the divide symbol to get the quotient value. Number 1 is 30, number 2 is 10. By dividing number 1 by number 2, we get the quotient value 3. So modulus returns the remainder value, which is number 1 is 12 and number 2 is 5. By dividing both number 1 by number 2, we get the remainder value as 2. So exponent is the power value which is given to a number. We have the number as 5, number 2 as 2. By giving number 1 to the power of number 2, the 5 is multiplied 2 times. 5 into 5 is 25, and so the output is 25 here. Now going on to assignment operator. Assignment operator is used to assign some value to the variable. It goes on like, first is assigning value. We use is equal to symbol. That is, the look onto the example. Number 1 is a variable. We use assigning symbol and 20. So number 1 is holding the value 20. So we also use we can use it like number 2 is equals to number 1. So by assigning it like this, number 2 will be holding the value of number 1. So when we print a number 2, it will print 20 because number 1 was holding 20. So plus is equal to is all, it can be also referred as addition by assigning addition value. Okay, so look on to the example. Number 1 is 10, number 2 is 5. We add the values with number 1 is equals to is plus is equals to number 2. So by giving it like this, we assign number 1 to 5 plus 10. So we are assigning number 10 and also number 5 to the variable number 1. So assigning it like this, the number 1 variable is holding 15 value. Minus is equal to it subtracts the value from the variable. So number 1 is holding 10, number 2 is holding 2. So when we give it as number 1 minus is equals to number 2, it subtracts the number 2 value from the number 1. So 10 minus 2 is equals to 8. So number 1 is holding the value of 8. Into is equals to, so this also performs the same operation like number 1 is 10, number 2 is 20. When we give it as number 1 into is equals to number 2, it will multiply 10 and 20 and store it in number 1. So number 1 value is 200 now. Divide is equals to, then number 1 is 30, number 2 is 10. Now number 1 will be holding the value of divide is equals to number 2. Then by dividing 30 by 10, we get 3. So number 1 value is 3 here. Modulus is equal to, so number 1 is equals to 7, number 2 is 3, and by we are assigning number 1 is equals to Modulus is equals to number 2. We are dividing 7 and 3 and storing the remainder value in number 1. So it is 1, and so on. Comparison operator or relation operator. It is used to identify the relationship between the variables or compare the variables. It will be returning us the true or false values. So look on to the we start with equals to. Double is equals to. We have to remember that single is equal to is an assigning operator, and double is equal to is an, it is checking whether two of the variables are same or not. If it is single is equal to, we are assigning the value to the left side variable. But looking onto this, let us consider this example. Number 1 is equals to 20 and 2 is equals to 10. We are checking whether number 1 is equal to number 2. Are they both equal? 20 and 10 are not equal. So it is returning the output as false. Now now the next operator is not equal to. It will check whether both the variables are not equal. So considering the same example, number 1 is not equal to 2. It is true. 10 is not equal to 20. So it is true statement. So next, the greater than. We are checking if the left variable is greater than the right variable value. So by checking this, number 1 is holding 20 and 2 is holding 10. So 20 is greater than 10. So the output is true. Less than value, less than greater, sorry, less than operator. We are checking whether the number 1 is less than 2. Number 2. So here 20 is not less than 10. So the value is false. Greater than or equal. It is checking whether the number 1 value is greater than or equal, even if it is greater or if it is equal. In two conditions, if one condition is true, the output will be true. So by checking the condition, number 1 is also 20 and number 2 is also 20. So here number 1 is equal to number 2, isn't it? So the value is true here. And we are checking less than or equal to. Here the number 1 is also 20, number 2 is 20, and so number 1 is equal to number 2 but not less than, but it is equal. So we are getting the output as true. Coming on to what is logical operators. Logical operators are and or not. It will be giving us the output as true or false. Logical and will return the true value if two statements are true. Only when two statements are true, it will give us the true value, or else in all the other conditions, the value will be false. In OR condition, if either of the statements are true, if any one of the statement is true also, we'll get the output as true. Only when two statements are false, we'll get the output as false. So logical not. Logical not will return the false value if the given statement is true, or it will give the output as true when the given statement is false. So looking on to bitwise operators. So bitwise operator is performing the operation bit by bit. So if a given by given number, we convert it into the binary numbers and then we perform the operations. So looking on to the operations, first one is complement operation. So given number is 5 and 6. If we want the inverse of 5, we have to convert it into the binary number and then we'll be getting the output as -6. So binary and operator, a is equals to 5, b is equals to 6, a and b. While converting a as the binary number, it is 0 1 0 1 and 6 is 0 1 1 0. So now we have to convert the numbers into ones inverse. So by converting that, the a value will become 1 0 1 0 and the b value will become 1 0 0 1. So when we add both of them, we'll be getting the value as 0 1 0 0. So the equivalent value of 0 1 1 0 is 4. So on, we'll be doing binary OR. In binary OR, the same way we'll be converting the 5 into the binary value and the 6 into the binary value. While adding the binary values, we consider either of the conditions are true, means the output is true. So 0 and 1 is 1, 1 plus 0 is also 1, 1 plus 1 is also 1, and 0 plus 0 is 0. So the equivalent value of 0 1 1 1 is 7. So the output is 7. Now we look on to the membership operators. Membership operators are used to check whether the element is in the string or the array. Suppose we have created an array or a string or a list tuple, and we are assigning few values to it. We use in operator to check whether the value is inside the given array or the string. So look on to the first example. A is equals to, it is an array 1, 2, 3. So we are checking in the second statement, we are checking 2 in A. We are checking whether 2 is in A. So 2 in A, it is true. So it is returning true value. The next statement, we are checking 5 in A. 5 is not in A, so it is returning the false value. So not in, it also checks whether the value is not inside the uh, array. If it is not there, then it will return the true value. If it is there in the array, it will return the false value. So the array is A is equals to 1, 2, 3. We are checking 6 not in A. So it is true. 6 is not there in A. So it is returning true value. 2 not in A. But 2 is there in the A array. So it is returning the false value. Now the identity operators, it has two identity operator, is and is not. It checks whether two variables having two values are same or not. Look on to the example. Is operator checks whether a is equals to 10 and b is equals to 10. So uh, a is b. It checks whether a and b are same. So a is also 10, b is also 10. Therefore the value is true. Is not. It checks whether both are not equal. So A is also 10, B is also 10. When we check A is not B, it is returning the value as false, because A is also having the same value and B is also having the same value. That is all about the operators. Now let's move on to the next.